think I could have stopped all of this crap.
Mm.
And then he was approached by MI5, MI6 and told to, quote, shut the fuck up.
Sheesh.
So Hitler was protected because he was a Rothschild and because he was trained as a British agent. So whenever he was captured in World War I, he was actually a British asset. So he would be saved and sent back to his side. So he had complete immunity to be a runner and not be shot or charged or convicted or become a prisoner of war.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a Jew who promoted him by awarding him medals, which he absolutely did not deserve.
Interesting. You know, in regards to either if we talk about Hitler or other potentially double agents of the elite, I mean, there are things, there are kind of, if we focus on Hitler, that actually are very strange in regards to how he was managing things, so to speak, towards the end. And what that could suggest to me then is that actually either his kind of, his mind control, his handlers, whatever, were kind of losing control of him and he was kind of breaking up or something internally, or do you think that this was by design? What I'm talking about here, of course, is things that he actually, went into Russia during, the winter time.
Yeah, I can tell you about that. Like in the Battle of Britain, Hitler had every chance to take over England. They had superior air forces, and there was no way that Britain could defend. So Germany self-sabotaged by not having enough petrol on their planes to make the return flight home, so they were ditching their own planes in the English Channel. And then Hitler was made to come up with the very, very dumb idea of Operation Barbarossa, which was to attack on two fronts and no longer attack Britain and take it over, but to attack Russia.
Right.
And that just extended the war. It killed a whole lot of people. And wars are essentially a cold hit. So by attacking on two fronts, it becomes a desperate war, and fighting Russia in winter is just the dumbest idea ever.
Well, I mean, Napoleon did it, and he did the same thing that Hitler did, basically.
Yeah.
He left his troops
up
there.
His own men to death.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. I mean, this seems to be like a standard, set that they're using, to get. There are people saying that wars also is an idea of, culling the population, so to speak, and actually getting rid of a lot of.
It is, and there are rules in the war that are secret. And one of the rules in the Vietnam War was that America was not allowed to win the war, and they had to get authority before they attacked, and most often they were not given authority. As with regards to Hitler's decisions in the last 9 months of World War II, they were completely erratic, and his own commanding officers did not understand any logic in what he was trying to do, and there was no logic in what he was trying to do. And the last 9 months of World War II was an absolute killing spree, and that was when most of the people died. And that was when the German military got utterly annihilated, and Hitler actually went round and murdered his own more patriotic officers and commanders. So Hitler was, in the last 9 months of the war, Hitler was very definitely acting for the British. And in return for that, the British got Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun out of Berlin in Operation Winnie the Pooh. And they got out of Berlin at 5 p.m. on the 2nd of May 1945, leaving from Lake Muglesey in a Western Lysander 3A flown by Hugh Verity.
Do you think that, the what do they call it, the July 20th plot or Operation Valkyrie was a way to actually...
So, I'm sorry, could you say that again? I couldn't quite hear.
Okay, the July 20th plot, or what is known as the Operation Valkyrie, do you think that this was an attempt by those on the inside that, they were trying to save what Hitler actually had built up before it was too late? What do you think that was?
A lot of Hitler's commanders and intelligence officers, etc., realized that Hitler was actually a double agent. and I think it was Stauffenberg. He tried to kill Hitler, and Hitler got word of it and moved from the concrete bunker, which would have enclosed the explosion and killed him, to an open bunker, and then replaced himself with a doppelganger. And the bomb went off, his doppelganger was killed, and then the doppelganger was dragged into the back room, and then Hitler was put in the clothes of the dead doppelganger and walked out virtually without a scratch. Having miraculously survived. And Hitler had about 18 or so doppelgangers, and he chewed through at least 8 of them.
Really? Sheesh.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for his doppelgangers, he would have been dead 8 times.
Let's see here. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the money trail also, because this is another kind of side to all of this that also ties in with what we've been talking about so far. In regards to the financing itself and the build-up of Germany before the war, is this something that you go into in your book?
Yeah, I talk about Hitler buying the Beobachter newspaper, and he went to his commander, and his commander said that he would ring his cousins in England, and his cousins in England financed the newspaper for Hitler, which allowed him to have his own uninterfered with propaganda machine. So Hitler was essentially funded by the Bank of England, and the Bank of England by then was completely, utterly and totally owned and controlled by the central bank, which was run by the Rothschilds, and the Rothschilds were Hitler's grandfather's sons, his cousins, his uncles actually. So there was just an absolutely massive con. If you can imagine a poker game and then put it on a worldwide scale and then span it out over 150 years, that was it.
Well, I mean, it's a very, very difficult thing to kind of to comprehend on that level. And I mean, again, I think what we have to look at or to try to get to the whole picture and try to understand why this is being done. This is a plan, I guess, as you said, several times now, to centralize everything, to basically eradicate all the small factions that were left in the world at that time, at least, to get rid of those either countries or people or royalty or whatever, to get it under this one centralized ruling elite, basically, right?
Yeah, that's right. So that's a one world order. And one world order run by the central banks, which is run by the Rothschilds, who are essentially the parent family to the British royal family. And the British royal family is the most obvious royal family in the world. And most of the other ones were eradicated in the from 1914 to the 1920s. They were just completely disbanded or murdered.
Yeah, it seems like we're kind of are in the end throes of the big plan. I mean, think that there aren't that many things left for them to conquer. Basically, if we look at it, I mean, things happen occasionally, like the invasion of Iraq. I don't know if that suggests that there are kind of rogue elements still, or if that is some people even suggest that Saddam again was in on it, so to speak, and they were just in the interest at this time to get rid of him because they wanted to control the area themselves or whatnot. I don't know. Any ideas about that?
Yeah, well, scientists have long discovered that oil is not a fossil fuel. That is a product of the Earth's reaction with the sun and the central core, the inner core and the outer core. And then oil is virtually spun out by centrifugal force up through the mantle and to the surface. And that oil fields like in Nigeria that were deemed to be dry have now refilled, and oil is a replenishable source, and the half-life of the world's oil population, etc., of the oil